A stunning new video shows Ukraine's growing reach deep inside Russia. The dramatic footage just released by Ukrainian intelligence shows dozens of drones slamming into some of Moscow's most prized warplanes.
117 drones. No warning, no declaration. Russia hit at its core.
Lord have mercy. I'm afraid we've traded our conscience for code.
These drones used artificial intelligence to finish the job. When connections were lost, Ukrainian officials say autonomous mode kicked in. The drones followed pre-programmed routes, then used machine vision to lock on, the explosives detonating automatically.
Our wars are now algorithms.
But no one is asking what this actually means. Have we already become unhuman?
Yeah. Unhuman. Slightly different than inhuman. Or merely inhuman. We have to think about the voices of the prophets. Elder Joseph, for example, of Mount Athos. Elder Paisios. The 3 nights that Joseph spoke of. That the Russians will take Turkey. Constantinople, or modern-day Istanbul, will be returned. That Ukraine will be divided, but Holy Russia, according to the prophecy at least, will rise. Like an angel crackling flight. What if the prophets were right, and the algorithm is just beginning? If you've ever watched this channel and enjoyed the content, could I ask for a small favor? Please hit the subscribe button, share the content, and add your thoughts in the comments below. It's the only way we can keep growing, despite the algorithm. Your subscription, shares, and comments help this channel more than I can explain right now, make you an integral part of our success. I promise to return the favor by making the show increasingly better. We're on this journey together, and I'm willing to make that promise. Do we have a deal?
117 drones, deep into Russia, 5 air bases hit, 40 strategic bombers gone. No formal declaration, no boots on the ground, just terminals and code. And not a single soul is asking what it means.
Yeah, nobody's asking what it means. Maybe because everything's lost meaning. They're asking the wrong questions. It's not just about escalation. It's about transformation. The war has evolved, and I'm afraid that we've allowed it.
Allowed what? Are you suggesting this isn't just military strategy, but something darker? A shift in the nature of how we understand violence itself?
I think so. To become unhuman, as you say, we've turned our warfare into software, delegated conscience to code, as I said. These drones, they're not just weapons, they're confessions of a civilization trying to erase its guilt, I suppose, with fire.
And no public outcry, no mourning, just analysis and stock price reactions. It's as though we're observers to our own unraveling. Have we already become numb? Or have we just forgotten how to see?
The prophets always warned us what blindness leads to. I think their message has been exceedingly clear.
You have quoted Elder Paisios before. He foresaw conflict with Turkey. But there are skeptics who say these are vague, even mythic statements. Why should anyone today, especially in the West, take them seriously?
Well, I would say because the world mocks those it fears. Paisios spent years in prayer on Mount Athos. He was a radio operator during World War II, but abandoned technology for stillness. He lived simply, yet he saw clearly. He said the time will come when the Russians will take Turkey. Constantinople, modern-day Istanbul, will be returned to the Greeks. His warnings were dismissed, but now Turkey's NATO games, Russia's southern push, it seems to be unfolding like a scroll.
And what of Elder Joseph? His prophecies have been circulating again. But what did he really say, and why now?
Yeah, his prophecies have been circulating. And what exactly did he say? First of all, I would take a step back and look at his early life. He was formed by fire. Born in 1921, he lived through the upheaval of Greece and became a disciple of Elder Joseph the Hesychast. He was raised in poverty, forged in prayer, and eventually abbot of Vatopedi monastery on Mount Athos. They called him a recluse, a mystic, but he saw through the veil. He said there will be a state of abnormality. The capital will pull back immediately. Every employee will be laid off. He wasn't speaking only of banks, of course, but of a spiritual vacuum. And now AI governs our markets. AI directs our drones.
That line, every employee will be laid off, it chills me even more now than ever. With artificial intelligence accelerating, even creativity is outsourced. Are we not witnessing the fulfillment of that vision?
Are we witnessing the fulfillment of that vision? Certainly, we seem to be. And what about faith? Elder Joseph warned, when Russia goes to Greece's aid, NATO will try to stop it. These are not just metaphors, they're patterns. Echoes of consequences that I fear we have long ignored.
St. Lavrentiy's name keeps surfacing in Eastern circles. His words are dramatic, but rooted in what kind of experience? Was he too shaped by suffering?
He was. He was a schema archimandrite and later abbot. During Soviet persecution, he comforted those driven underground and prophesied from his monastery in Chernigov. He said they will divide Ukraine, then other lands, but all that was torn away will return. Those who endure will witness the restoration of Holy Russia. His message was not just doom, but a sort of renewal through suffering.
Some argue that many of these prophecies aren't about predicting news headlines, but diagnosing civilizational illness, that they're more theological than tactical. Do you agree?
Do I agree that they're more theological than tactical? Of course. Absolutely. The prophetic voice reveals consequences of the rebellion against divine order. It speaks in the language of fire because the soul has grown cold. These warnings, Paisios, Joseph, Lavrentiy, they aren't political projections. They're a sort of spiritual CT scan.
And Archbishop Vigano, some call him a modern Jeremiah. Others call him dangerous. Where does he fit into all of this? Is he a lone voice in the wilderness? Or something more intentional?
Archbishop Vigano? Is he a modern-day Jeremiah? I suppose time will tell. But the fact he echoes the voices of these holy men in the East is remarkable. He's what they called an apostolic nuncio to the United States, and once trusted within Vatican hierarchy, the inner circles, if you will. But when he began warning of a globalist coup against both faith and reason, he was ostracized. He said, quote, Russia has an epochal role in the restoration of Christian civilization, contributing to bringing the world a period of peace from which the Church too will rise again, purified and renewed in her ministers. Like the prophets before him, Vigano, of course, was cast out, but not silenced. Those are remarkable words coming from a hierarch in the Roman or Latin Church, and remarkably, they echo the words of Paisios and Joseph and Lavrentiy.
Joseph said an angel would intervene, that the world would be inspired by an insatiable hatred, turning on itself. It sounds like apocalyptic myth, but is it possible that what he described is not just spiritual allegory, but a forecast of a coming psychological collapse?
Apocalyptic myth, apocalypsis in Greek, the removing of the veil. Literal or not, the spirit of it is already here. Division is a product now, manufactured and monetized. And when the real slaughter begins, no one will even remember why it started.
And then?
And then 3 days of death. 700 million, Joseph said. Not women and children, but men. Then, silence. The angel appears not as myth, but as a restraint, a divine enough.
And the survivors? What kind of world would they awaken into? A wasteland of their own making? Or something else?
What kind of world would they awaken to? Those left will awaken, as if from a trance, and ask, why did we kill each other?
There's this image Elder Joseph spoke of, the sleepers from Byzantium, political and ecclesiastical leaders who would be resurrected to guide what's left of mankind. It sounds surreal, but is it metaphor? Or are we dealing with a spiritual truth that transcends our categories of myth and reality?
Yeah, transcending our categories of myth and reality. That's a good question. There are those who led with righteousness and vanished from history. Joseph said the angel will point them and say, take them to govern you. This isn't fiction. It's the remembering of a forgotten order, a restoration, not of power, but of holiness.
And what happens next? What comes after the reckoning? Is there room for hope, or only a countdown to the end?
A brief peace, 3 to 4 decades. That's what he said. A time to rebuild, a time to organize, a time to remember God. But it won't last, because the Antichrist will come, and then the end of this world, and the beginning of a new creation.
So if this is the arc, war, reckoning, peace, then final judgment, what are we supposed to do now? What can we as people of faith even begin to do in the face of such vast inevitabilities?
What can we do now? We can return to our roots, to stillness, to holiness. Prophecy isn't about guessing the future. It's about calling us back to fidelity. Every prophet was ignored by the crowds, but heard by heaven.
But if we speak and no one listens, if the world chooses deafness, what then? Does the warning still matter?
They have eyes but don't see, and ears but don't hear. That's the mark of every prophet, unheeded, exiled, mocked. But they speak anyway, because truth doesn't need an audience. It only needs to be spoken.
Then let's speak.
Yeah, let's speak. Especially now.
He has a poor track record on fasting. He was once accused of using vulgar language, but he said the accusation was bullshit. He loves the smell of gasoline and burning oil around his motorcycles, and never stops drinking Coke Zero. He hasn't learned how to walk away from a fight. He's been to hell and back more than once, bringing a few public companies along for the ride. Other clergy scoff at him. The SEC and Big Pharma try to, quote, silence him for good. But their efforts haven't had the intended effect. That's Father Emmanuel.
Growing up in Tirana, where the call to Adhan echoed from the spiraling minarets, was a powerful experience for her. Albanians were forced to convert to Islam under Ottoman rule. In 1967, under the Marxist-Leninist regime, Albania became the world's first atheist state and destroyed churches to eradicate Christianity, in a land where St. Paul once preached the gospel. Her grandfather fought as a guerrilla fighter, and her father commanded a tank brigade. When communism collapsed, there was an insurrection against the state, leading to anarchy. Albanian women are known for their resilience. It is said they are born from the barrel of a gun. As a teenager, her father was flown out of the country without notice on a military helicopter to save his life. From then on, she started sleeping with an AK-47 next to her bed.